Today on the Ask BP podcast is part one of a two-part series on how do I find a good deal in a new town. Stay tuned.
You're listening to another BiggerPockets Ask BP podcast, where you'll hear short, direct answers to your biggest real estate questions. Submit your question today on Facebook, Twitter, or the BiggerPockets forums by using hashtag AskBP. And don't forget to pick up your copy of the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Real Estate Investing and other great content when you sign up for your free account at BiggerPockets.com. With that, let's get to the show.
What is going on, everyone? My name is Brandon, and you are here watching or listening to the Ask BP podcast. That's right. This is a daily show where we come to you and answer your questions, the one that you have. And today is a special show, something we've never done before, in that today we are going to walk through the questions from one individual BiggerPockets member. That's right. A newbie on BiggerPockets who's just getting started investing in real estate. In fact, he just moved from San Francisco all the way to Indianapolis to invest in real estate. And he just arrived in town, I think yesterday, and he's excited about getting started. So today we talked for about 40 minutes, and I'm splitting today's podcast episode into two because this is the Ask BP podcast and we like to go shorter. So we're going to split it into two sections, but we're going to answer just a ton of questions, mostly revolving around the topic of how do you find properties. We're going to talk about different creative strategies, different methods to find them, especially when you're new in town. How do you get started? And I'm going to cover a lot of actionable, like step-by-step things that Jaron, our guest today, is going to be able to do. And hopefully you'll be able to glean some stuff out of this as well, to be able to take your investing to a new place and to get started. If you're just getting started, or if you're experienced, you can hopefully find some better deals, more deals by being a little bit creative in how you find them. So that's what we're talking about today. Before we get to the interview though, I do want to ask you, if you've not yet left a rating or review in iTunes for the show, I would super appreciate it. I'll give you a big old bear hug. And obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube and you like this, give me a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know that the videos are good and they should show them to more people. So with that, why don't we get to the interview with Jaron and talk about how do you find good real estate deals in a new town? Stay tuned. All right, everybody. So we are here today on a special episode of the Ask BP podcast. And today I'm talking to my good buddy, Jaren Barnes. And Jaron here is going to ask a bunch of questions. We're going to talk about real estate. You guys get to kind of listen to our conversation. We don't know where it's going to go or what we're going to talk about, but we'll figure that out later. So Jaren, welcome to Ask BP.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on, man. This is amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, glad to have you. So what are we going to talk about today?
So I am going to be picking your brain on my real estate strategy. So a little bit of background on me. I just moved from San Jose, California, the Bay Area, to a suburb of Indianapolis.
Okay.
Called Carmel, which is kind of like, it's a very high-end, ritzy part of town. They're putting a lot of money into this place. It's really, really awesome. And I am completely noob status when it comes to real estate. So I'm just going to be picking your brain on pretty much everything under the sun because I don't want to make any mistakes, but I got a little bit of money from kind of early on my inheritance, long story short. So I have a little bit of money to start out, and I'm only 23 years old, and I don't want to make any mistakes. So,
cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much me. So this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, because I know how to hustle. I know how to door knock. I'm thinking about going down to the city and pulling a massive list of pretty much every single small multifamily, 2 to 4 unit that is owned free and clear, and getting kind of doing some direct mail and hitting up saying, hey, I'm looking for my first deal. I'm a complete noob. I don't know anything, but I'm looking to do an owner finance deal. If you're interested in selling, here's my contact information. So, and I think I might kind of sync that with like some door knocking. So actually, once I pull that list of people, skip trace their addresses or skip trace, if I find one that doesn't have a PO box, just showing up and saying, hey, I know you own several properties. I know you own some free and clear because I did my research. If you're ever looking to sell, I'm hungry, I'm young, and I'm looking to get started. That way, because I am not planning on having a W-2. I'm planning on being like just independent contractor, entrepreneurial type for my main source of income. So I'm not going to get typical funding. I am going to talk to like some portfolio lenders, like some small banks and stuff, but just to see what I can get. But I don't want to bet my money on conventional lending because I don't have a W-2.
Sure.
So I'm thinking of going the creative route and kind of going the hustling route and just getting my name out there that way. So what do you think on that?
Sure. So, I mean, obviously I love the idea of seller financing. Anytime you can, I mean, that's one of the things I talk about a lot is one of the unique strategies you can do to get low or no money down. So I like that idea. I'm thinking, you can get that list. Some counties have it obvious places. Sometimes you'd have to search through a lot of records. Sometimes you might be almost impossible to find that through a free source. So you might have to, depending on your county, go to like a list source or Melissa Data, one of those sites to actually pull those names. Either way, it's not a big deal. You can do that. Also, a lot of counties don't have very good, they don't have good records of like who has a mortgage and who doesn't. I mean, like the records are there, but it's hard to search that. So you may run into some trouble there as well, just trying to get those like who doesn't have a mortgage thing. But if you are, let's say, assuming you are able to get that list, whether it's through list source or through the county directly or however you're going to do it, let's say you're able to get that. I guess I wouldn't approach it. I don't think I'd approach it right off the bat with, can I buy your property with seller financing? I don't even think I'd bring up the word seller financing until later in the conversation. Personally, okay. I think I'd do more of the idea of, play to your strengths. I'm a young guy. I'm super eager to get involved in real estate. I've been learning about it for a long time. I would like to get involved with it and play up the, like, I need your help angle. Right? Like, I mean, don't be insincere about it, but that's who you are. You're a young guy who's going to need help from somebody. When I got my 24 unit apartment complex seller financing, it was largely because they saw me as a young hustler who was excited about what they are. I mean, they saw me in themselves, right? Themselves and me like 50 years ago. And they're like, oh, I'd love to help that guy out. And they found a win-win that mattered. So I think first I'd play up that as much as you can. Hey, even if it comes down to, you don't want to sell, but can we go out to coffee? Can we get to know each other better? Can you teach me, how did you do this? I mean, ask them, how did you buy this thing? Why? And let them brag about themselves. Let them talk about themselves. And once they like you, then they're a lot more willing to sell to you, especially with seller financing. Because seller financing takes a large degree of trust, right? Like, I would be reluctant to ever sell a property to somebody seller financing it unless I knew and trusted them, because you're basically saying, here, my retirement, I'm going to put in your hands. You screw this up and my retirement's going to suffer. Yeah, it's over and I'm going to have to go back to work, or I'm going to have to take back the property. And I mean, the people I bought my property from, they had sold it 10 years earlier to some guy. And that's what he did. He just, started like, a unit would go vacant out of the 24, unit would go vacant, and he wouldn't fix it up. He'd just go and, whatever, and just keep pocketing the money. So it went from 24 to 23 to 22, all the way down to like 11 or something like that units were rented. Yeah, because the guy would just pocket the money. And so then the owners that had sold it, the people I bought it from, had to take it back in foreclosure when the guy stopped paying. That took 2 years of their life of making no income on that property. So their retirement for 2 years struggled. Then they got it back, this pile of junk that had 11 units rented and 13 that were a mess. That then they had to, in their 70s, go and try to fix up. And so, like, when I came on the scene, they saw me as a young guy who was eager, who was clearly hustling, who kind of knew what I was doing a little bit, but not really. And they agreed to, because of trust, they had built that relationship with me for years, which is a longer story. Anyway, that's when they agreed to do it. So I guess my first piece of advice is, build those relationships before worrying about seller financing.
So like, practically because obviously I want to get my name out there, and obviously I want to take your advice and implement that. So would you suggest me, if I were to utilize direct mail, would you suggest me just pulling a massive list of property owners in the area and not even worry about, because excuse my ignorance, but if I get synced up with a title company, I can look up if they have a lien against the property, right? Or is that not true?
Okay, so potentially, I probably have to have a really good relationship with a title company to get that for free.
How do you establish that? Because my old people that I used to work for,
sure.
they had that established. Like, how do you get that?
Sure. I don't have that established, honestly. And I do a lot of business with mine. Now, maybe that's because they'll send me they send me lists of all the properties going up for auction and getting foreclosed on. They send me that every week because I ask for it, and they know that I do a lot of business with them. But in terms of them going to do free work for me, I don't even have that because I don't do enough volume business with them.
I don't know. We might need to edit this out, but the people I used to work with, they just were given a login. So
really?
They just use. I guess that's not kosher.
It might be, and it might be state specific as well. Mine definitely. I mean, but again, think of where I live and where you live now. I mean, like we're not in San Francisco where people are actually tech savvy. So my county just recently got records online. I mean, we're like, wow, we now have internet, and like we can barely search it, and the site looks like it's from older, but. We're moving somewhere. So anyway, it's very possible that you do the title company will let you do that. Mine just doesn't. So man, that would be cool though.
What would happen if I just called up a list of title companies like, hi, I am an aspiring real estate investor and I want to establish a relationship where you give me access to your information for free?
I think it's worth a conversation, right? It's a numbers game, right? You call 10 of them and you might get shot down 9 times, but you might get shot down 10, but what's that take? 20 minutes, half hour of your time to call 10 people and ask them, this is what I'm looking for. Do you guys offer any service like this? And they may or may not, because depending on how tech savvy they are. Again, I would be cautious, or not cautious. I would be surprised if a small, I don't know how big the town is you're living in, Carmel. How big is that?
I wouldn't even know that.
Okay. I'd be surprised if a Midwest, that sounds bad, I just lost all our Midwest listeners, but I'd be surprised if a Midwest company
I would probably
had that,
be investing in Indianapolis because I'm only 20 minutes outside the city. So I'm probably, currently I'm probably not even going to touch Carmel just because the point of entry is too high.
So yeah, you definitely would probably have an easier time then at that point. Maybe there's somebody in Indianapolis that will do that. So call up every single one and just tell them what you're looking for and see if anybody can do what you had at the last place. I don't think it's a terrible idea. I think, you could always go down to the courthouse yourself. If you got time, you can go down and research, or not necessarily the courthouse, but whoever the administrative building for your county is. You could go down to research every property title and do your own title searches anyway. But I don't even know if I would do that. Honestly, I'd probably take it more from this angle, because seller financing is just one way to get deals. If you pigeonhole yourself into that, that's all you will get. It's not a bad idea to master one thing, but I would look at it more like this: is reach out to as many of them as possible. Who cares how much equity they have? Don't do if let's say you spend an hour to find 5 properties that have decent equity, or you spend an hour to get 500 properties and you mail to all of them. I'd rather probably get the big amount into your funnel, and then as you make those conversations and talks with them, you ruling people out left and right on why it won't work probably, but you're going to get down to, let's say, 20 that maybe they can't do seller financing, but maybe they'll sell it to you super cheap because it's messed up. Maybe they'll do a lease option on it for a while, because even if they don't have a lot of equity, if it's not owned free and clear, maybe you can do a lease option on it. Maybe you could pull in a partner to do it. There's a lot of, once you have some opportunities in front of you, then you can figure out where they fit in the creative investing kind of scenario. But
so if I were to massively contact all of the buy and hold investors in my area, obviously I'm going to be utilizing BiggerPockets, but would you door knock? Would you use direct mail? Obviously, I would be going to meetups and things like that, but for just massive bulk of hi, I'm new in the area. I'm looking to get probably direct mail, I'm assuming, would be the easiest point of entry.
Yeah, I would probably say direct mail is going to be easiest. Door knocking is going to be rough if you're looking for multifamily, because they don't live there, right?
And a lot of them will have PO boxes.
Yeah, a lot of them are going to PO boxes, and so I would probably start with the idea of direct mail. I would probably focus on properties that have been owned for 10 years or longer. So if you look at properties that are 10 years old, 10 have been owned by the same person for 10 years, and you can figure that out in the list companies, List Source or Melissa Data. I'm not sure. I've never used Melissa Data, but I'm pretty sure you can do the same thing. So anyway, if you just look at properties that are older than 10 years, there's a very good chance that they'll have a lot more equity to deal with.
10 years or older. What what would you say is too old?
Yeah, I think. Well, old is in property type or in how long they've owned it for.
Property type.
I
thought
don't.
you were talking property type.
No,
you were talking about
I'm talking about ownership.
Okay.
Yeah. I probably should have clarified that. So they've owned it for less than 10 years. I mean, I don't. Now that said, I probably would do the exact same thing for age of the property. I'm assuming anything less than 10 years old is not going to cash flow. Now that might be a crappy assumption, but at least in my market, anything less than 10 years old is going to be way too expensive. It's going to be way too nice. Now maybe you can find a hidden gem, but I doubt it. As for old of age of property, I'm looking at. I mean, I've got properties that are 100, 120 years old, and they're okay. I mean, you have to expect that you're going to have a lot more maintenance, a lot more stuff, and you're going to want to do a thorough inspection when you buy it just to make sure that there aren't weird things. I've got a property, it's a fiveplex. I think it was built in like 1902 or something like that. I mean, it's old, and it's a multifamily. But like, the previous owner redid the entire foundation, redid all the electrical in it, redid all the plumbing in it, and like it is a solid property now. I mean, I got a new roof on it, I got new like good siding that's old, but it's good and solid and painted, new windows, and so like that property, yeah, it's still going to have issues because it's old, but because I got a good property, the age doesn't matter as much to me. But again, you definitely will have more repairs, more issues, CapEx, things going wrong with the older properties. So yeah, I guess I would probably start with a direct mail, or maybe to save some money. I mean, like honestly, just go every 3 days and go do a Craigslist posting that says, I'm looking for properties of this type. Like Craigslist ad is free. Go and put a Craigslist ad up put one up and then renew it every 3 days so it consistently pops up to the top. Just put it in your calendar every 3 days. I'm going to do that. And then.
So, but with that, what am I saying? Like, am I saying, hey, this is the type of property I'm interested in, or hey, I'm looking to get started? Because every investor sees newbies and they're like, get this guy, know, and so I need to have something of value to add. Like I need to establish some kind of like, hey, I'll do something, but I don't really know exactly what I can do because I'm not trying to do, I'm not trying to flip houses. I'm not trying to bird dog. I'm not trying to wholesale because I don't have the time for it.
I think I just write looking. I mean, again, you could test this over time and see what gets the most phone calls. But I think I'd write looking to buy multifamily properties. Okay. Hi, I just moved to town. I'm a real estate investor looking to buy multifamily properties in this neighborhood. If that's you, great. And I don't know, you're the one that told me once about a technique of using like, I think it was if this, then that.
Then that, yeah.
Right? Yeah, to set up automatic alerts from Craigslist to send to your email automatically. So that way, every time somebody posts an ad in Craigslist. So that's the second way to use Craigslist, which, I learned that from you, which is fantastic. Again, for people listening to this or watching this on YouTube, if this, then that, which is ifttt.com, you can set it up so that anytime a certain keyword on Craigslist is mentioned, in a certain like area or whatever, it sends you an automatic email to your account. So kind of a cool strategy there. And then the third strategy to use Craigslist, and I love this, like Craigslist is cool because you can go on there and you get the name, address, and phone number of hundreds of landlords across your area. Here's how. You go to the for rent section. Right? So you go to the for rent section, look for the mom and pop landlords who are posting ads for rent. Forget the property management companies for now. There's a good strategy with that. I'll explain in a second. But you go to the mom and pop landlord who, like the crappy like 2-line, they don't know how to use Craigslist very well. They're just like for rent, 3-bedroom house, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, they give you their phone number, their email, their name, the address of the property right there. I mean, how much easier can it get? And it's free, right? So just jot down that list. Yeah, every week, jot down that list of all the places and call each and every one and just say, hey, I'm not looking to rent your property, but I am new to town looking to buy a multifamily or a house or whatever. Are you interested in selling? So those are kind of the 3 ways to use Craigslist. And then to tie into that, the idea of the property management, I said forget about them for now. I actually would make down a list of every property management company in your town and make it a goal to visit them monthly. Just walk in and say, hey, what's going on? Just want to say, introduce myself. I'm looking to get started or I'm looking to buy rental properties in this area. And then ask them the question, do you have any owners that are looking to sell? And maybe even tell them, if I buy them, I'd like to keep it with you guys. Because here's the property management company's fear, right? They have a fear that they know some of their clients are really bad landlords, or they don't have money, they can't handle it, they can't pay, whatever their problem is. They know in-depth information about it. They're afraid that their clients are going to sell the property, and then the new owner is going to take that away from them, and they're going to lose that business. So if you can assure them, look, do you have any clients that are looking to sell? I'd like to buy something. There's a good chance, I've had a lot of property management companies will give me like the name, address, and phone number of the owner to talk to them, so that way I can try to pick up a deal that way. So again, that's another free way. Yeah, just make friends with all the property management companies in town and just hustle it that way.
Cool. So how do you, if I were to network with agents, how do I find investor-friendly agents or investor-savvy agents? BiggerPockets, probably.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few ways. One, you can go to BiggerPockets. Obviously, has a lot. That's definitely one way to do it. BiggerPockets.com/meet, MEET. You can type in your zip code and find all the agents in your area. If you're a pro member, you can search, within a 50-mile radius or 100-mile radius or whatever of your area. You can find people. Generally speaking, I look for people, like if I'm trying to do that, I look for somebody who has a label of real estate agent, and then I sort them by pro member or not. Just because if somebody's a pro member and an agent on BiggerPockets, I'm going to assume that they're an investor-friendly agent. Because why would you pay for a membership on a site about investing if you don't know if you don't like investing, right? So I would look that way. Obviously go to real estate clubs in your area if you can find them. Leave your wallet at home, but go to the clubs. Yeah, go there, talk to those people, and get referrals. I think you could probably call up any agency in town and just say, "Hi, I'm looking for a real estate agent who owns rental property. Do you have anybody like that?" Ask the secretary that, and she'll be like, "Oh yeah, I think John owns some rental property." Boom. So if you can find an agent who owns property, chances are they're investor friendly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I would steer clear of the guys who have their name on park benches and their name on the phone book and all that stuff, because those are the guys that are going to have, they're hustling in doing 500 different clients at one time, and you're going to get passed on to one of their assistants that you're a number to them. I just would avoid that. I would look for somebody,
right.
Like, I don't even care if they're new at real estate, right? I don't need an agent to be experienced personally. Maybe you might want somebody more experienced, but I know what I want in a deal. I just need their key. Like, that's all I need. Like, I need the agent to give me their key to open up a door, or not give it to me, but I need them to open up a door for me. And I need them to set up automatic alerts so that every new listing that matches my criteria ends up in my inbox immediately. Like, those are what I need from an agent. I don't need somebody who's been doing this for 40 years and has their set way of doing things. That's not going to get me a deal. It's going to be a deal of somebody who's willing to hustle, willing to work for me, and who's hungry. So
all right, and that was our interview today, the first half with Jaren Barnes. We're going to come back tomorrow and finish this. We're going to talk about a lot of really cool stuff tomorrow, so make sure you pay attention to that one. And again, if you like this, give a thumbs up on YouTube. If you really like it, give us a rating and review on iTunes. And be sure to turn in tomorrow where we talk about the rest of different strategies that you can do, some actionable advice for finding good deals in a new market. So hopefully you guys have appreciated today's episode. It's a little bit different format. Let me know if you liked it. Make sure you let me know. So come to the show notes page on biggerpockets.com/askbp. Click on this episode and then leave me a comment in the show notes. Let me know if you like this format, or let me know if this is something you maybe want a little bit differently. We're really just experimenting here, so I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. Or maybe one of you will someday want to be a guest on the Ask BP podcast, and you can pick my brain, or we'll bring in some other guests and you can pick their brain just to get started. I think it's kind of a cool concept. So with that, make sure you let me know if you like it or not, and be sure to leave us a rating and review in iTunes. So with that, we'll see you tomorrow here on the Ask BP podcast for part 2 of how do you find a great real estate deal in a new town. See you then.
You've just heard another episode of the BiggerPockets Ask BP podcast. Submit your question today on Facebook, Twitter, or the BiggerPockets forum by using hashtag AskBP. And for more incredible real estate investing tools and education, including a free download of our book, The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Real Estate Investing, head over to BiggerPockets.com and sign up for your free account today. We'll see you on the next show.